That was choppy.
Was it? Oh, didn't seem choppy.
I'm going to be
Very clean on your end. I've mentioned that before. Like whenever the podcast starts, it always seems choppy on my end, but maybe it's totally fine as it comes through.
Welcome to SeerNova Podcast, Season 2, Episode 14. We have Ray back with us. Yes, he was on like a couple episodes ago.
last summer, I believe.
Oh, so maybe it was the last season.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, because it was in the summer.
I remember because
It wasn't the Canadian summer, so it was like, you know.
you know what, the irony is actually quite thick, because during that rendezvous we had, I was in the parking lot of McDonald's and my phone was overheating and my phone died in the middle of Canadian summer, and I had an iced coffee from McDonald's. So when my phone died, I took the case off and put the back of the phone against the ice.
I remember that.
Cooled down quick, and then I was able to get back on. That was a good time. It sounds so ghetto, and I love it.
I've had to do that when I'm in my car. I have to turn the AC on, even if I don't mind the heat. It's just because my phone, that's the GPS, so it'll like overheat.
Die.
It's like, you can't use your phone right now because of the temperature. Like, oh, okay. It's 2025. You haven't figured that out yet, Apple?
And now that we've jumped into things, who are you? What do you do? Why should people listen today?
Who are you? Okay, well, I am. You reminded me of TJ Miller in Office Christmas Party. It's like, bald people. They're so hard to buy for. Who are they and what do they want? That's a great line.
What hair?
So you can call me Ray Jamison. I'm also known as Dungeon Master Ray, as I like to play Dungeons and Dragons. I am the writer and creator of The Madcaps, which is a 3-issue miniseries, which is about 4 friends getting back into their hometown, and their reunion is cut short by an undead outbreak, which they are able to help the guards stave off. But unfortunately, they're led to believe it has something to do with a local drug issue, and all 3 issues take place over one night, and it's just it's basically a drawn out whodunit, and these 4 characters are continuously a handful of steps behind what's actually going on. And by the end of issue 3, issue 2 launches on April 1st. I swear it's not an April Fool's joke. But by the time issue 3 finishes up, it will be these 4 characters like crashing into what's going on, and it becomes high action real quick. It's going to be a real good time. So excited. I had somebody suggest, because it's April 1st for the Kickstarter when it launches, that the video should just be a Rickroll, but we're not going to do that.
I'm not gonna lie, I would do that.
The opening like 2.5 seconds, just and then the actual trailer.
No, it has to start like it's a real Kickstarter, and then
the
go
first.
into that. And then cut it off and be like, I'm just kidding. Like, this is a real Kickstarter.
Don't tempt me, man. I want to do that now.
For real, like it's one of those things where if you do that in the first 2 seconds, like let the video start playing. So like, in a world, didn't never gonna give you up.
That'd be amazing.
Because think about it, you might get people to share it just because of that, and that's funny. Like
It's not a bad idea.
For real. Like it would be a really cool idea. I was telling who was it, Carissa, we were talking about this, like how she has this thing that she might be able to get a Guinness record or Guinness World Record set. And I told her to save it until she's ready to do a massive promotion, and then literally like play off the coattails of that. Same thing, like you're on April 1st, just play into it. Like in fact, I would make either secret tiers or tiers that expire after the first day. So they're just joke tiers, but like you can get them. And it could be something that you'll write a handwritten love letter to them. You know what I mean? Like something doesn't make, you know what I mean? Like it's just playful, but the whole idea is it's only on the first day.
Or it's just literally when they click on it, it's a picture of tears coming off of somebody's face. Oh, wrong tear. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you could actually
April Fools.
you could do you could sell your tiers. You could be like, these are the tiers of an indie creator. Trying to run a Kickstarter in April.
You can have like Bill and Ted, and they're saying "whoa," but it's spelled WOE. I like it. I'm in. I'm all in.
That's cool though that it's launching the first, because we're launching ours for Night Watch on the 2nd, because that's my birthday.
Nice. April 2nd. So
Yeah.
you are definitely not the fool.
Wow, I almost was.
Almost means you're not though, so we're good.
But his last name is Mockery, Moquin, so it's
It actually does mean that, like French. So
Do you guys ever play D&D at all?
1.5 times.
Yeah, 1.5.
None and a half. There's a spell you can get. It's cantrip. It's called Vicious Mockery, and it does like very minimal psychic damage, but it also messes the person up. So the next thing they do, it adds to the chance of them not being successful. And basically, it's like trash talking or something to that effect. But somebody found Colin Mockery from Whose Line Is It Anyways and called it Vicious Mockery, or a Vicious Colin Mockery rather. And it was like some bald Canadian comes out of nowhere and starts telling you off with the aid of 2 random props and goes on and on and on. It's a good time. Those Canadian references,
That's awesome.
So, you've only haven't been gone that long from our podcast, but has anything like changed, like storytelling wise, like how you like tell a story in one of your comics since then?
You know what? I consider myself if I had a style of storytelling, I couldn't really tell you. I think the way I approach stories are very different and they're all unique. I think the way I articulate stuff, even if it's just a point, I like using stories to articulate points. For example, the delivery is always different and the punchline hits in a different way. I don't have the same format or formula in that respect. With that said, in this second edition, or a second issue rather, of the Madcaps, I do have a new interior artist. So that is a roundabout way of telling a story differently because they have a different style and a different flair. It's really cool because I still have Dan Kemp coloring, but the line art is a little bit different, but it really pops. I'm really looking forward to telling the story visually in a slightly different type of light.
Was that on purpose, by the way, the new artist?
Well, the original interior artist for issue number 1, Evan Quiring. Shout out to Evan Quiring. He lives here in Winnipeg as well. He has his own projects, and he just wasn't available, unfortunately. You could check out his stuff, Lucha Mysteries or the Murder City Devil, which is pretty crazy about a modernized take on an anti-hero equivalent of Spring-Heeled Jack fighting other cryptids throughout cities. It's pretty neat.
It's cool.
Cool. Yeah, we definitely know what it's like to be working with an artist that has to switch projects. So.
Yeah, such is life. But I'm really liking what Victor is throwing down. We had a couple of delays with Victor as well. Basically, he had to move out during the LA fires not too long ago. But he's full bore. Dan Kemp coloring is full bore, and Micah is lettering away. So it's not going to slow down the product getting into people's hands. So I'm happy there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Mittens 3 is taking a minute, but I understand that Josh has got stuff going on, so that's
part of the game.
Yeah. And I just messaged him because he's one of the artists for Chronicles of Horror 3, and it's not just him, but I'm like struggling trying to figure out like how I'm going to pay to start the art for that anyway. Because I was like, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do that because I start to like every time I get a check, I have to pay a bill because adulting. So
Victor Medina and I had a joke where we were going to be like, we should start a platform where it raises money for artists. We're going to call it Only Pens. I think it'll do very well. I think so. But
Doesn't the bank know I need to make comics?
yeah, exactly. No, I'm father of 3, so the jokes, the terrible jokes, I'm like, I shower and shave and that stuff.
Wow. Have you ever had to like scrap a story idea, like ever?
Not entire stories, but there have been times where artistic liberties got a little bit too much of a mind of its own. And don't get me wrong, it turned out for the best, but there's times I've had to like change entire dialogues on a page or two, not too often, but I had a certain way of delivering a certain point, and that was scrapped. I had to come in a roundabout way. And it's very interesting sometimes when you describe something to an artist and then what comes out of their mind, you'll see similarities. But if you give them enough creative liberties, you need that sweet spot where they add their own flair and their own creativity. But on the other hand, you do need creative constraints to make sure you have what you need. For example, issue 2 of the Madcaps, there is a scene where 2 individuals are described. And I say specifically that one of them has to be larger and wearing a very baggy cloak or a robe. And that plays into details that happen a couple pages later. And so when he draws that out, you do see that. And the other person, complete liberties. I in my mind, I imagine person B looking completely different, but he had full liberties and he drew it out and it looks great. And I'm like, yeah, let's run with it.
No, we definitely know what that's like. We had the first comic we ever released, Ink 1, because we were in the works of the Seer Chronicles, had to can it. And then we ended up getting Ink 1 to be the first finished project. But before we ever looked at editors, or before I started editing any of the comics, Greg basically took his storyboard format writing. So like instead of writing it out in panels, he wrote it out like how you would write out storyboard descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
And then gave that to our artist. So what he drew didn't match any. We couldn't put all of the text that was going to be in there for the original story. So we had to completely change our entire script. And that's where we actually entered the inner monologue, doing their narration instead of trying to have him communicating the whole time. So by doing it that way, I agree. Like sometimes it's better to let the artist kind of like play with it, and then from there you can kind of get some serendipitous, like something new that you're not expecting.
Yes.
But then also by having certain comics that we've had, I think it was Seer Chronicles 2, which turned out really good. We basically described every single scene except for certain ones that were like, okay, here's one we don't know what to do with. We don't have any set vision in mind, so feel free to play with it. This one needs to be worm's eye view behind this guy's leg looking at that guy's shoulder, right? Like, so some of them are very specific. And I think I like that best when we have a very good story to tell, where the Ink kind of grew a life of its own after the first issue. And so if you kind of have like a base story, giving that to the artist and letting them kind of play with it is a really good way to get inspired by an artist. And then from that, now we're very specific. Like he's over here. We built a 3D model of this building. He's going to be climbing around this side, and then he has to get up here and attack from up here. So now we're very specific with that artist, but giving him the original liberty gave us inspiration for what we could eventually do too.
Yeah. I get that. There's something to be said about the combination of imaginations. And ironically, D&D is all about that. You guys, you said you've never played before, correct? No. So
we played like 1.5 times.
Oh, I thought you said none and a half as a joke. Oh, 1.5 times
at the same time. So yeah.
I remember, Greg, for a while you were kind of doing a little bit of that with comic creators, like live streams.
Yeah, it didn't go.
Yeah,
end up being that good.
I in my campaign for issue 2, I do have a professional dungeon master. He's also a voice actor. He's going to be a dungeon master. If you buy in, it pays for his services. And you get to make your character and play in a one-shot with him alongside of myself and others like Chad Perkins. And I think Rafael Tavares Jr. will be there. It's really, really cool. do you guys know, I'm trying to think of some of the stuff that this Dungeon Master's in. Michael Towson is his name. He's voiced for like Disney and William Shatner and a couple other cool stuff, but he has a good range of improv with vocal talent. And he actually voiced one of the voices in the last trailer I released as well, but very talented individual. And it's really cool, going back full circle. The combination of imaginations can do a really, really cool thing by the end. I'll give you a really good example. One time I was playing D&D, and just the way our schedules all worked out, we only had 2 players playing. I was the dungeon master, and I've told the story a couple times, different times on a couple different podcasts. But anyways, there's this barbarian and a rogue, and approaching a castle from a very long distance, scouts report that there's this horde of orcs coming, but they're not vicious or feral. They're just marching and very orderly, and it's outside of what you usually see a pack of orcs do. And the barbarian and rogue say, well, let's scout ahead. Let's see if we can get some critical details. So they go about halfway towards where the orcs are and where the castle is, and the barbarian says, I want to start sharpening poles and sticking them in the ground, angled towards the oncoming orcs. That way I've got a little bit of defenses to work with when I engage with them. The rogue says, okay, I want to go furthermore, halfway between the barbarian and the orcs, and I want to spy on them. So he gets ahead. He says, I'm going to use my spyglass, and I'm going to zoom in, and what kind of details do we get? So I say, make a perception check. He fails. He rolls a critical 1, which is like really bad. It means you couldn't do any worse. It's almost comical. So I say to him, you see a large man sitting on a rock sharpening sticks. In other words, he's looking the wrong way. And if he didn't do those things, I didn't even have that idea of them going and scouting ahead. But because of those imaginations, it came out with this funny story. And I am a big fan of going back full circle, like you're saying there, Dylan. With artists, it is a very similar relationship, in my opinion, where if you give just enough descriptors and the parts you want specifically, but leave out the rest for the artist's interpretation, usually it's a lot better than anything I went exactly to a specific description. Usually more imagination usually produces a better part, as long as it's all towards a similar goal.
That's funny, because I think each creator also will think differently about that. So like when I hear that rolled 1, right, I was thinking maybe he looks at the orcs, but he's got a lens flare, so they notice him.
Exactly.
It's like, oh no,
he's got dirt in his eye or something like that happen. Yeah, like there's all sorts of
falls down a cliff, breaks leg. Now he's injured.
Opens telescope, somehow is down at the bottom of a cliff. It's like Peter Griffin caliber failures.
Looks straight in the sun, blinds himself in one eye.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the combination of where you want the artist to go, but they're going to add their own thing to it, and it's way better because of it. That's the way it's always worked for me.
Yeah.
How do you approach marketing your comics?
Marketing?
Yeah.
Well, social media, as I was saying before, this month alone, this podcast here is number 19, and we're not done March yet. I've been going hard since January 1st. By the end of April, as of right now, I've just surpassed the 40 mark. So by the end of April, I will have been on over 40 different podcasts. And everybody has a different fan base, and everybody is about the same stuff. For me, it's a little bit more fortunate. I think I was saying this earlier before the recording started, but I have a couple of different fan bases to appeal to. Comic books, of course, but there's also fantasy. There's also tabletop RPGs, and there's a couple of other ones, but I just cold call, look up top tabletop RPG podcast, and some will show up. I'll email them all. It usually takes me a couple of days, a couple hours per day, and I'll get a couple bites. And another one, there's the undead in this comic. So I reached out to zombie podcasts, and I've been on a couple of those. And the big one is I'm not just selling the story, I'm selling myself. So even people listening to this right now as they're playing it, well, what's the drive behind the person that's writing the story, because I want to understand where the writer's going with it. And if I know the writer a little bit, I get a little bit more insight. Okay, well, this is what this person's about. They've kind of sold me a little bit on who they are. Okay, I'll see what they have to offer. That has been the biggest one for marketing. There's been a lot of different ways. Social media posts are huge. As of this being recorded right now, there is just over 5 days to go until we launch on April 1st. So I do have a countdown of images and posts and sharing and comments. And I'm sure you guys know all the itty gritty details of that type of life as you go through network mode as you're getting ready to launch a comic.
Yeah, or just mode.
Now, I've been very fortunate. So my publisher, Philip Russert, Philbo Publishing, big shout out to them. They run my Kickstarter for me. So for myself, if he's running that, I can focus more on things like this here. If I had to focus on polishing that up, that's less time for me to market. So for me, that was a considerably, I feel, is a wise investment. That's not for everybody. I know lots of people that hate podcasts. As you could tell, I'm very much an extrovert and I enjoy talking to people. So why not utilize those skills properly where you're going to get a better yield? And if I have somebody else running a Kickstarter, for example, that's more me time behind the camera. So yeah, lots of different ways to market.
By the way, do you go about, because you mentioned you're extroverted, do you have local comic shops that you try to go to and see, like, hey, are you willing to take some indie comics into your shop?
Yes. Now, I've spoken to a couple. They're definitely interested. I haven't followed up since I got my shipment of issue number 1. My target goal right now, because it's only issue 1 and 2, is going to cons. So in Winnipeg, we have a couple different ones. In October, we have Winnipeg Comic Con. In May, we've got KeyCon, which is kind of sci-fi and fantasy, which I think will fit in very well. There's a couple of others. There's an anime con. I want to hold on to those floppies for that reason. What I'd like to do is once issue 3 is finished, I have all 3. I want to go to local comic shops then and be like, hey, here's a full thing. So somebody doesn't buy issue 1 and where do I get the rest kind of thing. I think that would be a better play. And then after that point, I've been heavily encouraged to, it's public knowledge now, but Philip Russert, he started Philbo Distribution, basically with everything going on with Diamond. If I go the trade paperback route, which I'm pretty much sure I'm going to do, he's going to get me into LCSs in across North America. So I'm very flattered that he thought my story was worthy of such an option. So big, very grateful for all the opportunities Phil's been giving me here.
No, it's awesome. It's fun. A little bit, maybe like a couple hours ago, I was watching a video. So we attended a creator con. So like it was like an independent independent creator Comic Con or independent comic creator con. I can't remember the order of that, but IC3 is the shorthand of it, and it was in New Haven, Connecticut. Over 170 plus independent creators were there, which was awesome. Got to network with tons of them. I've sent probably like 100 emails in the last couple of days, trying to reach out to all the ones I got business cards from. But during that time, there was panels going on, and the first panel of the day was how to get into comic shops, and it was actually held by somebody who specifically owns a comic shop. And this comic shop, they specifically support independent creators, and they showcase their artwork the second you walk in the door. So like you walk into the door and he puts designs like right there.
That's cool.
And then you have to go around them to get to the DC Marvel. So very cool idea. So he actually did an entire presentation about like all the stuff that you need to do to like get the highest chance of a comic shop responding to you and looking at your stuff and considering it. And so
it's equivalent of like prepping for an interview. That's
well, like some of the stuff was like getting your log line and getting your I hadn't heard this term before, comps, like, what's it comparable to? So it's like when this meets this,
Right.
for this reader, or readers who like this, that kind of thing. So it was very cool, like seeing like this breakdown of like, here's how you pitch it to a comic shop. So yeah, I'm like going through, taking notes, putting it in ChatGPT, be like, build this out.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool idea. I really like that.
Yeah. But yeah, being extroverted, like that's something like even for my marketing company, when I first got started, I literally did door-to-door knocking. Comic shops, obviously they're not all located in one spot, but if you're in a nice area where you have a 2-3 of them, it's nice to be able to physically go there and go, hey, I have comics I'd like to put on your shop today. How can we go about that? Here's the idea of what they are. And as opposed to just pitching it to them, it's like, here's how they'd want to hear it. Like, this is the log line, the brief thing of what it's what's exciting about it. And then the other thing was like suggesting what comics it could already go near. Like this would go really good between Spawn and this thing. Like, that kind of idea.
Yeah,
so it's like, man, those are like really good ideas. Like make it so the comic shop owner doesn't have to think. You just give them a comic, they evaluate it, they look at it, it looks good. They're like, perfect, I'll put it here.
Yeah. That's a really I think that would be really neat if that was done at more cons, because to be honest, that I haven't been to too many cons, but that's the first time I've heard of something of that caliber.
It was super
the
cool.
little guy, the indie, right? Like it's so smart.
Yeah, it's the largest one apparently, because I've never heard of one comparable to this. Baltimore has like a lot of independent creators there, but it's not an independent creator con. Like there wasn't any comic shops other than this guy speaking. That wasn't an independent comic creator. There wasn't Marvel, DC. Like I think the biggest that was there is maybe some artists that worked with Dark Horse. But like other than that, and like one of the sponsors was Comics Wellsprings, like the the go-to indie comic book printer. So it was very, very cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome. But I'm really looking forward to when all 3 issues are done. Like right now, I already have covers done for issue 3, and it's torture, not just showing everybody. Like I'm just sitting there looking at like, this is so amazing. Like I haven't said this yet. When do you guys think you'll be
next Wednesday, I think, right?
Next Wednesday. So that's fine, because I launch on the Tuesday. Wednesday the 2nd?
Yeah, it'll be the day after. Yep.
Okay, so one cool thing, I have not total sold this yet, but by April 2nd it'll be public knowledge. One of the covers I already have done. You're gonna try and get it out the day before the 1st. One of the covers that I had for issue 3, it's gonna be a final stretch goal for this campaign, and if you hit it, I'm gonna be putting a black and white preview in the cover or inside issue 2, like at the end, saying to be concluded next issue, and it'll actually show. It's a very dynamic piece. It's just as much telling as it is mysterious. So I really want to get that shown. All of my stretch goals are secret except for the final one, so people can see the end game, the light at the end of the tunnel. And again, it's torture not even be able to show it then. Like I really want to be like, check out this swag, because there's a lot more cool stuff coming, and I can't. It's comical,
Yeah, one thing I do actually suggest to a lot of independent creators, though, is to share a little more than you're comfortable with. And the reason I say that is that the reason why Batman, the trailer just gets to show the action, because we already know who Batman is. You don't have to like explain to me, like I know, I mean, like, but with independent creators, the idea is that here's all of the people that know comics exist. Here's all the people that know Marvel and DC exist. And it's like, here's all the people that know independent comics exist, right? And then here's the people that know about you. And it's like, it's such a small pocket that in order to expand it, it's kind of like, I forget, I think it's in like the book, like the 7 Habits. The idea is like, here's your circle of influence. By working on yourself, you can expand your circle of influence. And in this case, it's more like broadcasting it further. Like the reason why the Marvel, the MCU commercials or the trailers for their movies were spoiler alerts is because they were only spoiler alerts for fans of those comics. But for everyone else, it was the hook that made them want to watch it.
Right. That makes
because they don't remember that hook when they get in there. Fans will, because we know that exists. Now we see it in real life. We're like, oh, why'd they do that? Right.
Yeah.
But for the person who's not a fan, they're like, whoa, that was cool. I can't wait to see that in theaters. They don't remember the importance of that scene. They just see it in action later. Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why like big name films like that, in order to expand their market, that's what they're doing. But independent comic creators can take the same idea where by sharing just slightly more than you think you should, like we start showing way more of our pages in our comic than we normally do because of that exact reason. It's like I would show almost the whole comic. It's like you're not going to remember it. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's the first time you're ever seeing it. It's going to get in a post. You're not going to save it and review it really in depth later. You're going to remember it though when you go there and go, oh yeah, that looks familiar. As opposed to I remember.
Yeah. On your Kickstarter, what would be the magic number of how many pages to reveal on the Kickstarter, like previewing?
On the
preview, minimum of 37.
If your comic's 24, make 9 of them up. You know, or was it no more than that? But yeah. So, anyways, it's like the idea is that I think for the preview page, I heard somebody say 5. Like 5 pages is a good number for the preview. Is it 5?
I usually do 5.
Yeah.
I did a little more than that, and then Fish is like, "This is showing most of the comic," and I was like, "Shh." And I'm like, "I'll delete some."
Yeah, but five's a pretty solid number. The other thing too is like depends on how long your comic is. If your comic is 45 pages long, you could probably show 15 pages. As long as page 15 isn't the spoiler.
If we did a Kickstarter for Ink 1, we would be able to show like 2 pages because it was like 8 pages.
Yeah, I would say it's probably more a factor of the percentage, but like say a standard comic's 24, 25 pages. If we rounded that up, obviously there are always 4 increments of 4, but a quarter of it would be 5 pages, or a fifth or 20% of it would be 5 pages. So like that's maybe that's a good number, like 20% of the comic. But like think about what a trailer does. Like a trailer's, I don't know, 3 minutes of an hour or an hour and a half movie. How long is a trailer now?
3 minutes of 90 minutes.
Yeah, so 3 divided by 90.
It's not always the same.
100. So what is that? 3%.
It's less than 3%.
Yeah, and the thing is, like
more
that's
3%.
Yeah, it's 3.3333.
Yeah.
But the idea is like that's really small, but it's a video. You could tell way more. You have video and audio. There's so much more you could tell. But with a comic, in fact, some people don't have the lettering done yet. They just have the colors. And that's another way to also hide it. Like if you want to show what like something really cool, but the words would spoil it, just show the colors. And now they're like, whoa, that's awesome. And then when they read it, they're like, whoa, I didn't even expect that. Like that's kind of the idea. It's like you could share a lot more and still be clever with it. Like one of the things that we did was our digital version of Ink 2 doesn't have a codex in the back. So there's no way to tell what the ancient language says. If you buy the physical one, there's a codex in the back that tells you what the ancient language says, which means you miss a chunk in the middle where you find out like what his name is in this world, which again, like this podcast, I know a limited window of people are going to see it. So I don't mind sharing more. So he's known as the gatekeeper, even though that's not really referenced anywhere else except this ancient language, right? Although we might have done it in the introduction. I actually can't remember if we did, but the whole idea is that like we can put little secrets in there and still share them on stuff like podcasts, because then the people following us on podcast are the insiders, and they get to go tell. So like small example, Dragon Ball Z, huge fan of it growing up, and there's a small idea that you can tell if someone's a really big fan of Dragon Ball Z or they're just kind of a big fan or they say they're a big fan. And one of those really weird factoids or whatever is that there's a famous line you might have heard, which is it's over 9,000, right? Now the thing is that that's actually not the original number. From the manga, it's over 8,000, but 9,000 I think just sounded cooler. I think that was literally what happened, and it was close enough that it didn't matter in numbers, right? It didn't go past the 10,000 mark, which is what was important. And so literally, like just knowing that, I feel like an insider. So think about that for your, potential fans. By sharing more on podcasts that aren't getting millions of listenerships, it's like a few hundred or a few thousand, right? Like you're in that range. And so when you share that little secret, someone gets to go, oh, I know something. I want to get it, right? Because then I get to be that guy that gets to tell my friends about it. And this is the guy.
I'm just imagining you saying like, it's not 9,000, it's insert word for 8,000 in Japanese. Get it right, you filthy casual. Just tell me.
But like, so that's the idea though, is like just being able to share those little snippets of information around the internet, especially if you don't share them all at one podcast, you share little parts of it, because then you're going to find out who that true fan is later, who knows all of them. You'll be like, holy crap, like you know all 8 of the little secrets from this. You only could have known that if you watched these 8 random podcasts I was on. You're clearly a true fan. Here's a free comic, a shirt, and a hoodie. By the way, I sell other stuff too if you want to buy it, but I want to give this stuff to you, right? Like that's kind of the idea. Now you got somebody who's like a fan for life.
Yeah. That's just
these little nuggets. Yeah. But I always like to think of that stuff because I know like that's how I feel about the stuff I really enjoy. So if I don't put that into the stuff we're creating, like we have, I showed somebody at the last convention we were at, like, hey, here's an Easter egg. Like no one knows this yet. You're the first person I'm telling, right? And I'm like, this right here is a logo of a company that's actually manipulating everything, and it's hidden in 2 of our comics. And you only know it if you look for it. That it's the same logo because one of them's on a I won't say where it is, but one of them's on like a small item and one of them's on a giant item. And unless you looked closely, you wouldn't have realized it.
Right.
So
yeah, that's really cool, man.
I share that with one person who maybe they buy the comic. And then when they're telling their friends about it, they're like, oh, you got to check out this really cool comic. By the way, they told me something and apparently they didn't tell me. You know what I mean? Like, it gives them this feeling of wanting to tell other people. And the reason why is there's a whole book on this called Contagious by Jonah Berger. And there's like 6 things that can make things go viral. One of them is called social currency, meaning if I share this, do I elevate my social status amongst my peers or family, right? And one of those things could be, do I look smarter for this? Do I look funnier for this? Do I look like the cool guy for this, right? There's a ton of different things that it could do. So by giving people these nuggets, they get to be the cool guy.
Right.
And so like that's why I love doing that stuff where it's like, what can I share that, like, think about that too. I'm telling them this is going to be like 18 comics from now. Like, you're not going to know about this from then, and you get to know about it now. They might not even remember that. They might be like, oh, that's the thing. Like, they'll see it. Like, that's the thing. I totally forgot about that. And then they go back to the other comics and like, shit, it's on all of them. I didn't realize it. It's like
there. Yeah.
So that's kind of the idea, is like just trying to figure out how to drop Easter eggs all over the place. Like that's something I try to do that like on all of our podcasts now, is like say one thing I haven't said on another one yet. So if somebody ever goes through these, they'll start finding little nuggets. Yeah, that we're dropping.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like how you kind of you're facilitating a culture within your fan base. I think that's really, really neat. And depending on the veins and how that stuff can travel, well, it's a rumor. Is that true? And then later on, it's confirmed it was true the whole time. You're really just adding to that culture. I was there, man. I saw it when it happened, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Then you take a press release out on yourself and you're like, turns out this was real. And it's just you, right?
You're just talking the phone. Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is my press release. I'm your hero. Just kidding.
It makes me think of, there's what was his name? There's a guy named Ryan Holiday. He has a book that's called Trust Me, I'm Lying. And do you know the movie I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell?
Tucker Max?
Yep.
Yes. I know of it. I've never seen it.
Ryan Holiday is the guy that made that guy famous.
Gotcha.
They created hoax, like fake stories, to draw attention towards this stuff to bolster his book, which then bolstered the movie. And this guy is literally an a-hole. Like that's the whole point of his book and the movie, is he has this realization that he's a complete asshole. That's why he, even in the movie, it's like, I hope they serve beer in hell.
Yeah. That's where I'm going, kind of thing.
That movie.
He had a second book, didn't he?
Yep. Yeah, I don't remember what the other one is. It's it's named something different.
No, I think it's just A-holes die or finish first or something like that.
Yeah, maybe something like that. But that's the whole idea, is that you can drum up that kind of like conspiracies and things around your universe, and it makes it fun. It gives it again, think about it. We're independent comic creators. We're literally like little tiny, dust of sand in the giant universe of comics. How do we draw attention? Put some friggin' sparkles on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, run down an alleyway really quickly with the sparkles so that people see the trail and like, what the hell was that? Like,
Street watching. Yeah, that's really awesome. Really, really hilarious. The whole thing of all the different angles of marketing and the potential versus what actually happens, or sometimes you get that real pleasant surprise. It's really cool.
Yeah, I just realized a good way to think about it. It's like to put an ad in Times Square on one of those giant boards is actually relatively inexpensive. And the ad itself is not that valuable. Do you know what is valuable? You getting a picture in front of it with fans as it flashes on the screen for the whole 10 seconds it's up there.
Yeah.
Right? So the whole idea is that by creating these little pockets of, interest, you're creating material that you can also use to market. Like it itself is not actually that valuable, but by having it, you can now throw it. Right. Now it's like, look at this thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Where do you see indie comics in 5 years?
In 5 years' time, I think I made this joke with you guys in the last summer when I was on this show. We were talking about nostalgia and Uncle Buck and a bunch of other stuff, and I had that. You reminded me because you said 5 years, and I'll say it again. The joke of Mitch Hedberg, where the person says in an interview, they asked me, where do I see myself in 5 years? And he says, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of you asking me this question. Because we were talking about how nostalgia, and that's, in my opinion, the best example of how like nostalgia can like inbreed itself, and to be careful about pandering to nostalgia too much, because 5 years from now, we're not going to be looking back about something else. But indie comics 5 years from now, the best litmus test, I don't have a definitive answer until we see how good or how bad Avengers Doomsday plays out. And I have a reason for that. I like to parallel this to Spider-Man 3 with Tobey Maguire, directed by Sam Raimi. That made a lot of money. That doesn't dictate whether or not it's a good movie. Obviously, it had a lot of flaws. My concern is Avengers Endgame. We're going to bring back all this cast. We're going to put all this money. Everybody's going to go and watch it. But that might be the equivalent of Venom's in this one. It had room for improvement, and that killed the franchise. Now, the reason I bring this up is 5 years from now, if people get superhero burnout in movies, fatigue is another way of putting it. Of course, I honestly believe that if that happens and it settles down, people are going to be going back to comics more as opposed to being reliant on these stories on the silver screen. I think that's a huge opportunity for indie. With that said, if Avengers Endgame is successful, and all the power to them, I hope it is, I think indie is just going to keep on doing what it's doing. We've got different people of different talent, different levels of success, and a really cool culture going on. It's one of those two things. And in my opinion, I won't decide until Avengers Endgame plays out.
Or Doomsday. Yeah, Endgame already came out.
Oh, Doomsday, yes.
You said it right the first time, then you said Endgame the second and third time, and I'm like, wait a second.
I meant Doomsday. There we go. Thank you. No one else.
Your Endgame
that is my Endgame, yes. But I think that has a very, very important, pivotal influence on comic books as a whole. And right now, the cartoon Invincible, I've never read the comic. And there's lots of people I know that didn't read the comic and love the cartoon. And guess what? The comic's really popular right now. There's a whole culture on YouTube talking about different issues and showing different panels and how they're different from the cartoon and how both are really awesome for different reasons. And
Goku beat, Invincible.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this is a real pivotal moment, in my opinion. Maybe I'm hyper focused on a little too much. Maybe it doesn't have as much influence as I'm thinking, but there's got to be something there. I'm not going to make up my opinion until after Doomsday is done. I was going to say Endgame again.
Two of my favorite X-Men are going to be in that movie. So
yeah, I heard what's his name's coming back as Psyche, and who's the other one?
Channing Tatum's going to be there.
Oh, Gambit.
Yeah.
Do you know how originally Wolverine was criticized because he's just so ridiculously tall, and everybody just eventually accepted it because he did such a good job performing? Channing Tatum is the opposite. He's so short, and he has such a good build. My only critique, and I'm sure I'll get over it. I'll get over it just like I got over it with Hugh Jackman, but because of his build in that suit, to me, he looks like 10 pounds of sausage in a 5-pound bag. Like he barely fits into it kind of thing. But I'm sure 10 years from now, I'll look back and be like, yeah, he's all right. I enjoyed it. It's a good time. And that's that.
Yeah, I definitely think that, like, when people complain about how things are done in movies, things like that, where like Wolverine's height in the comics isn't really that important to the plot. It's important to like jokes and like certain other little things like that. But like the plot itself isn't determined based on his height. You know?
Yeah, long term, it doesn't really matter. When he was originally created, it made sense because it was trying to match that of Wolverine, this little tiny tough thing.
Well, and his big brother Sabretooth, where he's the little David versus Goliath kind of thing.
Right. Or Hulk 181, where him, Wendigo, and Wolverine are all slugging it out. He's this little tiny guy. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if he's 5'8" or 6'1", or 5'6", I think he is, or 5'4".
I think it's like 5'4". Like he's real small.
Yeah, he's like Tom Cruise. So.
Tom Cruise, but Wolverine runs better. We'll put it that way. Just imagine Wolverine. Does
Tom Cruise really run like that?
Just YouTube Tom Cruise run, man.
I don't like him as an actor. Well, I don't know him as a person, but almost anything he's in, I'm just like, ugh. Except Tropic Thunder, because I didn't know it was him. But like Rain Man is an amazing movie, but not because of him, because of Dustin Hoffman. So yeah.
I like Tom Cruise movies. He's exciting.
And Top Gun, I just couldn't get into Top Gun.
The one thing I like about him is he brings a lot of energy. There are certain actors there. It's not about, depending on the actor, it's not about the steak, it's about the sizzle. Tom Cruise is definitely, he brings that. And if you surround him by the right talent, they'll make up for, you have the right team, they complement each other and fill in for each other's flaws. There's like, when I started the Madcaps, I can't control how good of a writer I am. That's up to the anybody reading to decide. So I personally, I wanted to make sure I was surrounded by talent I felt was worthy of the industry. So I got a lot of like cool different cover artists. The interior artist is great. I already mentioned Dan Kemp coloring, who's done over 100 issues of Spawn and like Civil War era Amazing Spider-Man and like late 90s, early 2000s Marvel Knights, be it Daredevil and Punisher and all those cool street level stories, or Hulk the End. Like, I think Tom Cruise, when he's his best, he does the same thing. He like surrounds like things he can't do, the other people
like reach the top shelf. Reach the top shelf.
I thought the first Mission Impossible, and not a perfect movie, but I thought, you had people like John Voight sitting in and like filling in those gaps. I don't know how else to put that.
I don't think I ever watched any Mission Impossible movie.
See, that's why you don't like him. That's your problem. Like, you got to just picture him. That's him in every other role. Like, it's always this spy in the back of your head, no matter what he's doing. But no, those movies are fun. I haven't seen all of them, but actually, no, I don't think I've seen all of them. I probably missed like one or two of them, but there's like 11 of them or something. So it's like
the second one, if you watch the first one, the second one is completely different because it's just a John Woo film, and the action it's a motion comic. It is not a Mission Impossible. It's a motion comic. There's explosions, there's doors flying off the hinges, a white dove flying through, then him walking by. It's all like overly dramatic. It's amazing, and not for the right reasons for Mission Impossible.
It made me think of what the hell is it? I mentioned this on another podcast. What the hell's that name? Hobbs and Shaw, that like spin off from Fast and the Furious, and there's like there's this scene. Yeah, there's this scene where The Rock is running, and it's like noon. It is clearly the middle of the day. And as he's running, he's like in shorts and a t-shirt, but and no shoes. And like by the time he gets to the truck he jumps on, he's wearing boots, pants, and a jacket. Like it cuts away multiple times, and like he keeps getting different things on him. And I was like, "What the hell's happening?" Like,
strange. I want to look that up now.
It was just really bad. What's it called? Consistency. Like almost like they filmed it multiple times, and like he just forgot he was wearing a jacket one time or whatever. And then it switches over to another scene, and it is pitch black thunderstorm going on, and they're only on the other side of this stupidly small island. And then it goes back to like noon again, and you're like, dude, thunderstorms don't make it midnight like that.
I would love to see him like completely different in clothes in between scenes. Like he's running, jumps,
like bright red hoodie, then he's in a
no, that's at the end. First you see him in like his tank top and his shorts and boots, and then you hear it's morphin' time, and then he moves over and he's in the red jumpsuit going, I'm a Tyrannosaurus. Wrong. I don't need a zoomer.
It's like Autobots roll out and he turns into a truck.
He actually folds himself into a truck. I love it.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twixter. My call sign is Raymond the DM. DM Ray was taken, but you can find me as DM Ray on Facebook, and you can find my the Madcaps Facebook page on there. By the time this recording is public, the Madcaps will issue number 2 and number 1. You'll be able to
be the biggest
catch up. Well, regardless of how successful or lack thereof it is on Kickstarter right now when you hear this. And
Angel have already missed the special April Fool's Rick rolls because you're too late. That's what happened.
But you won't be too late to buy some really cool stuff. Can I share some art?
Yeah.
Awesome. I won't share too much. You can find this. Of course, I have the wrong.
Yeah, how you keep them waiting. We just like cut it right now.
Comes back in. I'm in a red jumpsuit. It's morphin' time.
She's like a walking man.
And then he rolls dice and ends up getting sucked into a game.
Starting right there. There it is. I found it. It's right here, guys. Found it. Now I just have to find my window so I can actually present. There we are. Share screen.
From the window. Wow.
Till all your arts hang on your wall.
Ow, that art.
Watch my screen. There we go. I don't know how to put that together. I'm sorry. I'll do the Canadian thing and apologize. This is the main cover to issue 2. Each of the covers, I try to have it something to do with the interiors. Not everybody does that, and all the power to whoever. You have random covers, and they're beautiful works of art, and that's the whole reason they're there. Here we show the 4 main characters finding a path which leads to the HQ of the distributor of this this fictional drug known as Weave. And you can see this path has a lot of overgrowth, and it's supposed to give a little bit of mystery to it. Whoops. This is going to be a metal foil cover. This is Sarlacc finding a book, which is a critical part of the story. I think the metal foil is really going to make that cover pop. I'm really excited to see that.
Do you see a stretch goal, like if you make a stupid amount of money, to take that and turn it into stained glass?
You are not the first person to suggest that, and I'm aggressively considering options here in the city. We'll put it that way, but I won't say anything else. This here, I forgot to say, this is drawn by Kenny Calderon, colored by Dan Kemp. This one's drawn by Jenna Stark, colored by Dave Kemp. The brothers Kemp are all over this project.
Are you going to take those corners and turn them into embossed pins?
That would be a cool idea too. I've never considered that, but it's now on the table thanks to you. Now I have more work, Dylan. You're just killing me.
Well, someone's going to give it to you.
Good problem to have. Here we have Madrakis. He's using his arcane abilities to yank some earth upward. And this is drawn by Rod Ramos Rodolfo, colored by, again, Dan Kemp. Two more covers here. Here we have Dunanini, the little half-dwarf, half-gnome, who is almost as tall as a dwarf and can't grow a beard. He has, he's got definitely a lot of cool character arc within him. He's referred to as the social facilitator of the four, and here he is a little overwhelmed by the undead. He is able to, using arcane abilities, he's not exactly sure how he does it, but he can manipulate metals and crystalline structures. So that little telescope over his shoulder basically blasts raw arcana out of it, as you can see there, taking an arm off of a zombie as he's smashing the jaw off of another zombie. Russ Leach did a really good job drawing this, and Dave Kemp colored it up.
I think the guy in the bottom right who's sticking out his tongue.
Yeah, he's here for a good time. This guy's destroying all the fun. He's beating everybody up, but they're actually here just to have a good time, apparently. But
you gotta get those glasses made. Those are pretty sweet glasses.
Yeah, those are goggles. He needs those to operate his telescope hanging over his shoulder. They're actually synced to his eyes. And lastly, this is drawn by Jay Sloan, and this is colored by Dave Kemp. This is Chasgo Blundale. He actually hides his appearance because his type of people are killed on sight. He uses magic to disguise himself as a human. Here we have him sitting alone, milling about his thoughts. And this is Emix. This is the first time you see Emix in an issue. It's a three-eyed raven.
Is it an albino raven?
It is a three-eyed albino raven, and it's got some cool features to it. It does have some critical points also in the story. So a lot of gratitude towards all of the talent that is put into this. They got some really cool stuff that they've produced for me, and it's very, very, I don't know if humbling is the right word, but it's really cool to see this talent bring to life stuff that it was in my head, and now it's on paper, which is really cool.
That's always the best part.
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Which, by the way, that last one, because there's stained glass in the background, you have to make the stained glass of that second cover. Because that would look super cool, even if it was just a promotional piece you brought to cons.
Yes,
it would be super cool.
Yeah, there's a local gaming shop here. I never thought I'd be promoting them, but I'm going to Game Night Games, night spelled with a K. Their entire building is an entire castle. They're in Winnipeg on Osborne Street, and they've got some cool stained glass in there. So I think I'll be contacting them for options. But
do you know what else you could do too with that? Last thing, just because now I'm all excited about it.
Yeah.
Is you could lay out a sheet with what are they called? Popsicle sticks. And then basically you melt Jolly Ranchers into each of the spots and make a candied version of it.
Put it right on wax paper. That would be cool.
That'd be super awesome.
Who's going to eat this design up? Delicious.
Maybe that's
47 hours on it. My 5-year-old just destroyed it.
Yeah, you drop it right as you go to lick it one time. You're like, oh.
Really cool. But yeah, you can find me. I already mentioned all the socials, but definitely check out the Kickstarter. We've got t-shirts with any of the comic style cover art. We have plush tapestries. They're just blankets, but we're calling them tapestries. Anything that looks like some type of medieval painting that we've had for cover art between issues 1 and 2. You can, we've got 4 different options, and it's going to look cool either hanging on your wall, or it's going to look cool draped on your shoulders as you're trying to stay warm, like us Canadians up here, where it just snowed today and it's almost April, which is ridiculous.
That second issue that second cover you showed would also look good in a tapestry, but I still like the stained glass idea.
Yes, yes, but the one of Chasgo with Amex on his shoulder, that albino raven, it is going to be available as a poster version, so it doesn't have the title on it, as also metal foil. Originally, when people saw the art, they suggested that that image of Chasgo be metal foil. I didn't want to steal the thunder of the stained glass piece, so a happy medium is it is a pinup metal foil that you'll be able to get your hands on. It's all on there, man. Also, for anybody who plays D&D, there's also character sheets, which are based off of the 4 main characters at level 5. It is, man, there's so much on there. Just go check out the Kickstarter. There's lots of something for everybody. Check out the trailer. Trailer was, it's just under a minute, so it doesn't take you any time at all.
Yeah. So why are you still here watching this? Go to the Kickstarter right now. Get out of here.
Yes.
Yeah, go back it. That's my birthday present. Just go do that. So.
Thank you for Big Mock when we were backing somebody else's Kickstarter. You should check out his, which apparently will be going out.
Launch the day this comes out.
Check, what's it called?
Night Watch.
Night Watch, yes. Check out that.
Namesake, by the way, like the main character is his name.
Greg Mockwood, or just the first?
No, it's his middle name, Kenny.
Kenny Mockwood. Very cool. Well, right on.
Well, thanks for coming on. And yeah,
this has been a good time. Yeah, go check out the Madcaps. There's something for everybody. The last thing I'll say about the story: if you have friends that you don't get to see a lot, this book is an homage to that level of camaraderie. And I'm talking the type of camaraderie when you're an adult and you get to see somebody, even if it's 5 minutes passing at a restaurant, or you see each other passing by as you're going through a city, and your very inner child is recharged, and you think, man, I really needed that and I didn't realize. This book is all about that. So if you like that level of camaraderie, if you miss Friends, if you like medieval fantasy, or if you just want a different book that doesn't have 60 years of lore that you need to have memorized, then you should give this book a shot. It's 3 issues. It all takes place over one night. Each issue is 1 act. I don't know what else to say other than you'll definitely get your money's worth. I can give you that much.
Ooh. Go back it.